What is up guys, and welcome back to another TBC Classic video. So today we're talking about the Faction Imbalance Problem in TBC Classic, as this is a problem that is becoming more and more apparent on more servers in TBC Classic, and to explain it shortly, this is the issue of a server becoming one-sided faction-wise, for example a PvP server becoming 100% a Horde and 0% Alliance. During this video I'll go more into why this happens, how this happens, the impacts this actually has on the game itself, and why Blizzard isn't doing anything to fix it, because it's actually in their best interest to not do anything about it. So first off, let's take a look at a couple of examples. I have filtered this to only include PvP servers because that is where this problem becomes an actual problem, and it's also where it's the most commonly, or where it most commonly occurs, because that's where faction imbalance has the most impact. Put it like this, if a PvP server has 1% Alliance and 99% Horde, and you're playing on the minority faction, doing any type of outdoors content will be next to impossible. Questing, daily questing, even gold farming or leveling will be filled with you getting killed by the opposite faction over and over again. To add on to that, it will also take you longer to find groups for anything, because while you might be playing on what is categorized as a high-pop server, if your faction is only 1% of the server, that is not really going to feel like a high-pop server in terms of your faction, and you will have a hard time doing just about anything, to be honest. Now, one of the first servers I want to look at is Shazzrah, where this problem hasn't fully reached completion just yet, but it's specifically interesting to me because this was supposed to be my main server, both in Classic WoW and in TBC Classic, and I'm playing on the Alliance side. During most of Classic WoW, this server was about 50-50, if anything it was maybe 60% Horde and 40% Alliance, but there was always a certain balance between the factions. Now, however, it's sitting at 90% Horde and 10% Alliance, and I still have a couple of friends who play on Shazzrah on the Alliance side that can confirm that 2 more complete raiding guilds are planning to realm transfer in the coming weeks, and I would not be surprised if this realm becomes a 99% Horde server in about a month based on the direction it is currently going. Now, just to further show you guys that this is a problem across multiple servers, let's just speed through a couple more, like Noggenfogger, which is sitting at 98% Horde and 2% Alliance, Crumb Crush, which is currently actually 100% Horde, Scaram, which is also 100% Horde, Lucifron, which is 99.7% Horde, Gandling, which is also 100% Horde, Heartstriker, which is 100% Alliance, Heartseeker, which is also 100% Alliance, Kirtanos, which is 100% Horde, Stonespine, which is also 100% Horde, and Smolderweb, which is also 100% Horde. And these are just the servers that have over 1,000 active players registered on the ironforge.pro website. Oh yeah, I actually forgot the biggest one, Horde, which has over 6,000 active players, which is also sitting in 99.99% Horde at the moment, and it's basically a Horde-only server at this point. So the reason this happens is quite simply faction imbalance, or server imbalance between factions. The second a server reaches, let's say, 70% one faction and 30% the other faction, that becomes a noticeable difference to the point where it's no longer fun playing on that server if you're in the minority faction, especially when you know that you can just transfer away to a different server, which might have different stats that looks better to you. And this is what creates the never-ending loop of this server faction imbalance, because let's for example look at Netherwind, which has 5,800 active players, and 67.5% of those are Alliance. As this number gets closer to 70% or 75% Alliance, you might see a huge number of Horde players start transferring away, and maybe they already have. These Horde players will then transfer to a different PvP server, most likely one where the Horde is in the majority, which causes the Alliance of that server to flee to a different server, and they will most likely choose one where the Alliance is in the majority. In the case of Netherwind, I expect Netherwind and Earthshaker will be the server that most Alliance players from the Horde-dominated PvP servers will transfer to, which will increase the number of Alliance players on those 2 servers, which will put us closer to the 70 to 75% alliance number, which will then push the Horde away from those servers. Now here's why Blizzard will never try to fix this. First of all, this is a player-made problem. It is a PvP server after all, and this is one of the downsides of playing on a PvP realm, where you can transfer to another PvP realm the second you experience something that you don't like on your server. For example, faction imbalance on your server. If server transfers wasn't available, this would be much less of a problem because people would literally have to create and level up a new character if they wanted to change servers. Well, either that or they could make a brand new account and use the level 58 boost, but let's pretend I did not say that, because if Blizzard can get $60 from someone instead of 25, then they might actually disable server transfers in order to get more purchases on the boost. That brings me to my second point. Blizzard is financially incentivized. Is it called incentivized? We'll go with incentivized. Blizzard is financially incentivized to not do anything about this, because every time a minority faction player transfers servers, he is paying $25 for that transfer, which is quite literally free money right into Blizzard's pocket. $25 is the same as what? 2.5 months of subscription? This is why Blizzard can report things like monthly active users going down, yet them receiving record high profit from the game itself, because they are able to squeeze more money out of each player. To add on to that, they also don't have to hire anyone to police the realms and deal with the fallout of merging servers and people complaining about it. I think this is once again an example of Blizzard creating an artificial problem within the game, then selling you the solution just to make money, because if the server transfer option was not in the game and the level 58 boost was not in the game, the only way for a server to become 100% one-sided is if they quite literally drive everyone on the other faction into madness, to the point where they literally quit the game or start leveling from scratch on a brand new realm. Now, while this also was a problem in Classic WoW, the world itself was much larger, so people could spread out a lot more, and the open world PvP and world content wasn't as stacked in one place as it currently is in the Burning Crusade. Competing for resources in Classic WoW was much easier, because once again the area itself was much larger, and thus you could always find a place where you could farm for resources. In TBC you have 6 relevant zones to farm for resources, and the entire player base is spread throughout those 6 zones, instead of being spread across 40 different zones, like in Classic WoW. The zones in TBC are also right next to each other, while in Classic WoW you would have to travel tens of minutes in between each relevant zone, at least in some cases. I mean, the flight from Winterspring to Angora Crater was enough to take a nap and go to work, and you would still make it back home before reaching your destination. What happens when you throw all of the players into a small planet consisting of 6 total zones is that everything that happens in the open world becomes much more relevant, and on a PvP server, this also means a lot more open world PvP, and at that point, once your faction is in a significant minority, it starts becoming noticeable and negatively impact your gameplay. This server faction imbalance is something I think we will keep seeing, and in my opinion it's a never-ending loop, because once again, if Alliance players are in the minority on their server, they will transfer to a server where the Alliance is in the majority, which will further increase that majority, and then the Horde players of that server will leave and go to a server where the Horde is in the majority, and rinse and repeat. So there you have it guys, my take on the server faction imbalance and PvP servers becoming incredibly one-sided. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you slap a like on it, and let me know in the comments how your server looks like when it comes to faction balance. And if you're interested in TBC Classic videos, make sure you subscribe, and with that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.